When you do cook the turkey, the temperature that you want to reach is 165 degrees. Use a food thermometer and put it in the meatiest part of the turkey. It's usually in the thigh area. And take a couple readings so that you make sure you're getting it done. And it's another way to help with the quality of it, too, in the end. That way you're not overcooking it.
June may be National Turkey Lovers Month, but November, and in particular Thanksgiving Day, is when Americans really like to eat turkey. In fact, according to the National Turkey Federation, nearly 88% of Americans eat turkey at Thanksgiving. That probably explains why an estimated 44 million turkeys were sold and enjoyed last Thanksgiving. To put that into perspective, the average weight of turkeys purchased for Thanksgiving in the U.S. is 16 pounds. That means more than 735 million pounds of turkey were consumed during the holiday. The National Turkey Federation also says that a turkey typically has about 70% white meat and 30% dark meat, and that white meat is generally preferred in the United States, while other countries choose the dark meat. In addition, the two types of meat differ nutritionally. White meat has fewer calories and less fat than dark meat. The leftover white meat is typically used for sandwiches and casseroles, and leftover dark meat is usually used in soups and stews. Because turkey is not something we prepare on a regular basis, there could be a greater risk for food handling mistakes and improper cooking. In addition, we also make a lot of side dishes we're not used to making. On today's Sound Living, tips for safely preparing a holiday turkey meal. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman. When it comes to selecting a turkey, Kansas State University food scientist Karen Blakeslee says there are two options, fresh or frozen.
If you're going to buy a fresh one, get it ordered so that the grocery store or your butcher shop will have it ready for you, and decide on a date when you're going to pick it up, which is typically the week of Thanksgiving at some point. I would say, a day or two before Thanksgiving, you can go and pick it up and then put it in your refrigerator when you get home. If you buy a frozen one, obviously, you could buy it early November. Wait till they go on sale so you get a little bit better bargain and keep it in the freezer. Now, how long it takes for it to thaw out depends on how big the turkey is. The guesstimate for thawing time is for a 12 to 16 pound turkey. It takes 3 to 4 days. I would say it probably takes a little bit longer than that. I would just plan on a week. So the Thursday before Thanksgiving, if you have that big of a bird, a little smaller one, you could probably take it out the weekend before Thanksgiving.
And that's doing it in the refrigerator.
In the refrigerator, yeah. That way it's a nice slow thaw. Now, if you forget, and hopefully you remember the day before, then it makes it a little easier to get it thawed out. But you can submerge it in a pan of water, in a big bucket of water, in some kind of clean pan, and do the thawing method by using cool water. Change the water about every 30 minutes so that it stays fresh and that it can help speed up the thawing time a little bit. And it works very well. So that'll take a few hours as opposed to a few days. So you could wait until the day before. If all else fails and you just completely forget, yeah, it can be cooked from frozen on Thanksgiving. It's going to take a lot of extra time.
You're going to be getting up real early in the morning.
Yeah, because obviously if you have a pretty large bird, it's going to take a long time. At least another half amount of time. So it could take, 6-7 hours. I don't know. It just depends on the size of your turkey. That's kind of the last resort. Try to remember to plan ahead. Make a list. That's the best thing you can do so you can check those things off.
And you also have to make sure that you have room either in the freezer or in the refrigerator, or both.
True. That's very true. So now's the time to kind of clean things out. Take inventory of what you have in your refrigerator and freezer, and maybe you can use up some things now so that you will have room for your turkey when you bring it home.
I know there's a lot of different ways to bake a turkey, but what are some things that we should keep in mind to make sure that we're cooking it at a temperature that is going to not cause any harm?
Yeah, well, first of all, when you're prepping your turkey to put it in the pan, there is no need to wash the turkey. That is something that we do not recommend, because you're likely going to splatter water that's got turkey juice on it on your counters and places that you don't even see where it splatters. So there's no need to do that. The cooking is going to take care of the turkey and make sure that the bacteria is killed. Now, when you do cook the turkey, the temperature that you want to reach is 165 degrees. Use a food thermometer and put it in the meatiest part of the turkey. It's usually in the thigh area. And take a couple readings so that you make sure you're getting it done. And it's another way to help with the quality of it, too, in the end. That way you're not overcooking it too much. So 165 is the target temperature.
In terms of making sure that we don't overcook it, some parts are going to get done sooner than others. Do we try and control this with aluminum foil, or how do we do this?
Yeah, you can. Or if you have a lid that'll fit over the pan and the turkey itself, sometimes it doesn't quite fit, and so aluminum foil is the best thing to do. You can always start it off by tinting it with foil or putting the lid on, just to kind of get the heat build up in there. And then towards the end, if you want to get some browning on the skin, then take the lid off or the foil off so that it gets some browning and some color on it.
And if it comes with a built-in pop-up thermometer, do we kind of just disregard that and use the normal thermometer?
Right, yeah. The pop-up thermometers are a nice little indicator, but they're not the true temperature that you want to look for deep down in the turkey. Those little pop-up thermometers only go down maybe 1.5 inches or so, and really you need to get farther into the turkey. So, yes, it will pop up likely before it's done. That's typically my experience when I've seen that. So rely on your food thermometer.
That's more of a we're almost done, but maybe
not quite.
Yeah,
exactly. It's getting there, but you still need to leave it in there a little longer. And if you have a meat thermometer, you can insert that in your turkey before you even put it in the oven so that you can kind of look through your oven window and see what it's doing, if the lid's still off. So definitely you do want to use a thermometer. The other thing to remember on cooking your turkey is you should not use a temperature anywhere below 325. If you use a lower temperature like that, that just slows down the heating process, and that could invite some bacteria to grow. So 325 is the lowest recommended temperature in your oven.
Sometimes we think low and slow, but not in this case.
Right, exactly. And it'll still turn out really well at 325.
I mentioned that the turkey is the star of the show, but there's a pretty wide supporting cast when it comes to this meal. And that turkey is going to take up, in most cases, the entire oven. So we've got to do some planning and maybe some preparation in terms of getting this meal done at the same time?
Exactly. So this is where making a list and kind of putting a schedule together of what's going to happen and when you need to get things done. Shopping to start with, you want to make sure you get that list together so that you have that when you go to the store. And then plan out the meals that you're going to have. You could even ask your guests to bring something. That would save up your oven space. If you have a slow cooker, you could use that. These days, a lot of people have the electric pressure cookers. I'm sure there's lots of things that could be cooked in those. Even the tabletop roaster ovens, you could even roast a turkey in that and save your own oven space with those by using a roaster oven. And those can be used for cooking a lot of other things, too.
A lot of the breads and pies can be done in advance.
Exactly, yes. You can make your bread or your rolls and pies. You could freeze them and then bring them out the day before so that they warm up. Pies, you can freeze those either unbaked or baked. Kind of depends on what kind of pie you're making. The fruit-type pies freeze better than the cream, like pumpkin-type pies. So you can freeze those and then bake them the day of, that morning, or the day before, and have them ready that way. At least you can save some preparation time by doing that. Vegetable trays, things like that, those can be made a day or so ahead of time and covered up and put in the refrigerator. You can even, if you don't have enough refrigerator space, you could use your ice chest and use that for beverages and keep them cold that way. So you can be a little creative on how you're going to plan your food out. But ask your guests to bring some things. They're coming to eat too, so have them help with the meal.
And a lot of things can be at least heated in the microwave.
And the microwave, yeah, that'll speed up a lot of things, especially, if you want to thaw out some dinner rolls real quick. That's a great way to use that.
Talk about the stuffing, because there's always the conversation of in the bird, outside the bird. Does it matter?
It does matter, because temperature is important on that too, and you do want that to reach 165 degrees also. If you do stuff the bird cavity, stuff it loosely so that it's got some room to heat up, so the heat gets inside there faster. If you pack it real tight, it's going to be pretty dense, and it's going to take a long time for that heat to get inside the turkey. So pack it kind of loosely. And then really the best choice is to cook it outside the turkey in a casserole dish.
Is there any need to let the turkey rest before we slice it?
Yeah, and this is kind of in general for pretty much any kind of meat. It's a good idea to let it rest after you take it out of the oven. That just helps the juices in the meat reincorporate back into the meat itself. Because if you take it out of the oven and go ahead and start slicing it right then and there, your meat's going to be really dry, because once you cut that juice just runs out. So wait. You could wait 15, 20 minutes on a turkey, because it's going to hold a lot of heat for quite a while. Smaller pieces, maybe 10, 15 minutes or something like that. And actually, by doing that, take it out of the oven, you may have something that you can still slip into the oven and get baked. For example, maybe like a green bean casserole. Take the turkey out, leave the lid on. You could even, if you have room on your stove, to turn your stove burner on low just to keep it warm, then that'll free up your oven so you can bake something at the last minute.
I think a lot of times we plan on having leftovers from the turkey. How long can we leave this food, I guess really any of the food that we have, how long can we leave that out safely?
Yeah, the general rule of thumb is 2 hours from the time it comes out of the oven to when you're done. And so please don't leave the leftovers sit around on the table to snack on throughout the day. That just invites problems. And we really don't want anybody to get foodborne illness after eating a turkey that's been left over and sitting on the counter. And not just turkey, but that includes stuffing, any kind of hot food that's been sitting there. Cold foods need to be kept cold. Hot foods need to be kept hot. So, again, the general rule of thumb is 2 hours.
Is it better to take the turkey off the bone, or can we put the whole thing in the refrigerator?
The best plan is to take the meat off the bones, and especially if there is a lot of meat still on the bones, and it just cools down faster that way. And then you can take the bones and put them in a soup pot and make some turkey broth so you can have turkey soup after that. Don't let those bones go to waste. But do take the leftover turkey off the bones. It'll cool down faster and save you a lot of space in your refrigerator too.
And that kind of goes for all of the other leftovers too, is you want more of a flat, wide container?
Right, yeah. The recommendation is put it in a flat container that's about 2 inches high. And that way that the product spreads out a little bit and it'll chill faster too.
We're trying to keep the bacteria from growing.
Exactly. And don't forget to wash your hands. That is so important, because that's your first line of defense in preventing any kind of foodborne illness. So wash your hands before you prep food, during the process, and then after you're done prepping food. Always wash your hands.
If somebody needs more information on getting this Thanksgiving meal done, they can find that on several different websites through Extension.
Right. We have a food safety website. It's ksre.ksu.edu/food safety. And on the left side, you'll see a link called Topics of Interest. Click on that and click on the Holidays section. And there's a whole list of resources, some from us, but also from the USDA and some other resources about how to keep your holiday meals safe.
That's Karen Blakeslee, a Kansas State University food scientist and coordinator of the university's Rapid Response Center. More information on food safety can be found on the Extension website, ksre.ksu.edu/food safety. Under Topics of Interest, click on the Holidays section, and you should be able to find answers for all of your Thanksgiving questions. Information is also available at county and district extension offices. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman, and this is the K-State Radio Network.